You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacalyn.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Hello and welcome to Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn. It's all about dating. I love this program. Who doesn't want to talk about dating and connections and networking and just feeling good and falling in love? I am your host and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and I am a certified life and career coach. With me, as always, my beautiful co-host, Lisa Manyoky. Hi, Lisa.
Hello. How are you?
Great. Thanks. How are you?
Good. Super.
Lisa is the founder of Presence Intelligence. She is also a TV show host on RVN TV. It's so nice to have another professional here with me.
Yes, it is. Who's familiar with the dating world.
Yes, do tell. Well, you have experience. You had your own show on radio, right? About dating and matchmaking.
For a couple of years, a friend and colleague down in North Carolina. And when she met her husband on Match, well, she was busy with other responsibilities. So we ended it. It was really a lot of fun, though. And it was really obviously successful, too, because she won that one.
Well, isn't it funny when I think back to the many years I've been on this earth about how you're all involved in something, and then a boy would come along and be like, oh, forget about that. I'm all in love now. Or your girlfriends, you're really tight and close, and then they meet somebody and it's, oh, let's ditch her. Let's just focus on the guy. And then we get older and it all starts to change.
Yeah. Keep your girlfriends always.
Exactly. It's really important.
He has to fit into your thing and you have to fit into his, but neither party should lose their circle.
That's right. That's right. It's really important that before you come together as a couple, you're still strong, independent people separately.
Right. Yeah, I have a really good friend of mine, actually a male, who for a dozen or so years was with a woman that slowly eroded his ability to integrate friendships and whatnot. And once that relationship ended, he's finally able to revisit and open up his world again and introduce new parties to doing things together collectively. But it was very compartmentalized. It got old really quickly.
I was in relationships like that where I wasn't allowed to have girlfriends or only one girlfriend or something because it was a threat to the person. And of course, silly younger me, I went along with that, but no more. No more.
Definitely not. Girlfriends stay.
Yes. We have a fabulous guest today. Her name is Jade Bianca, and she is a matchmaker and the founder of Dating After Divorce. And as we were talking before the show, at least we could talk about this forever, right? You get divorced. What do you do? What does dating look like? How does it feel? How do you get connected? So she's going to walk us through all of that.
Okie doke. Sounds good.
And I just want to let our viewers and audience know that we love to hear from you. I mean, if you have a device that looks like a phone and you can pick the thing up and call us, we would love it. So our number to contact us is 609-961-1699. I'm going to do a little cheer. You like that? 60. All right, enough. Okay, so that's the number to reach us. Also put comments on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitch TV. So what do you say, Lisa? Let's bring Jade out. And welcome to the show live from Virginia. It's Jade Bianca. Hi, Jade.
Hi, Jacalyn. How are you? Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Jade.
It's great to see you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. So your topic is so relevant to so many, and it's really never goes out of style, unfortunately, because people are constantly getting divorced. So yes. Jade, share with us, what is it that led you into having a career as a matchmaker?
Yeah, I kind of fell into it in a lovely way. I started a relationship coaching company, I think about the beginning of 2020, and it kind of slowly evolved into a coaching and matchmaking company. And I love what I do. I'm able to help people kind of adjust from being married life to being a we, to kind of addressing problems that they've had in previous relationships, and also potentially meeting the one for them. So.
And, you just touched on a number of things. You go from being a we, and then it's just a me. And there's a time period there, at least for me, when I got divorced, that you really need to work on yourself, find out who you are and exactly what you want.
100%, absolutely. And I think it's one of those things that you don't really think about until you get out into the single life again, and you kind of don't want to run into that same issue that you had in a previous relationship. And so there's always things that we can learn from previous relationships, and taking accountability is one of those, because it does take two to tango, and no one goes into a marriage with a plan. We'll get divorced, it's fine.
Yes, good point. So what do you find when people come to you and they're looking for someone? Do you find that typically it's the same exact clone of what they just were with, or is it complete opposite, or it's all over the board?
That's a great question. I think it depends on the person, honestly. Actually, something that we'll talk about maybe later is the things that I suggest for people doing after a divorce. And one of those things is dating the complete opposite of your ex, because we do kind of fall into previous patterns of only going for one type of person. And I found that obviously people change with age and experience. So if you kind of get out of your head in that way, that you could potentially meet someone really great.
Yep. And here's a little neuroscience tidbit. Our brains are super efficient machines. So they look for the shortest distance between 2 points. And that means what we know. That is why people say, oh gosh, this new person isn't my type or doesn't feel right. No, it doesn't feel right, because you become accustomed, no different than a habit. You become accustomed to a certain person, a certain personality, a certain dynamic. And as you migrate away from that, your brain says, I know the way. And so it looks for people who are similar until you deliberately say, I'm not going down that road again. So it does take time to of course, not only recognize that, but then to also defy what your brain naturally wants to do.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I think it's also interesting the fact that some people try and say like certain opposites attract or things of that nature. And I think it's interesting as you kind of get older and your dating styles change, whether or not you're attracted to someone who is the complete opposite of you or not.
Well, what's your feeling on that?
I think to each his own, but I get this question a lot for like cultural differences as well. So people dating outside of different cultures, people dating outside of certain religions, also countries as well. So it kind of just depends on the couple for sure.
And Jade, can you tell us, in your business and in working with individuals, do you represent both men and women? Because we've had a lot of different matchmakers on here that only work with the men or the women, for example.
Yeah, I work with men and women. I would say that my clients are around 60-70% men, and the rest women. But yes, I work with both men and women.
And where are you located?
I'm located out of Richmond, Virginia, but I work all across the states.
Okay. So anywhere in the United States, someone could reach out to you and then you'll find them a match. So what does your business model look like? Because we hear all different kinds of things here from different matchmakers.
Can you give me a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. So in other words, when someone goes to your website, datingafterddivorce.com, and they want to work with you, and let's say, they live in Seattle and you're in Virginia and they want somebody that's local to that area, how do you work with them to find someone?
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on really what that person's looking for. I am a dating coach, but I'm also a matchmaker. And so I have different variations of matchmaking. Most of the time I can usually find them someone in their area. But if they are a certain niche in dating, then I will use my network of other matchmakers to connect them. So if I can't find them a match for some reason, I work with a bunch of matchmakers across the states and across the world to find them the right fit.
So you'll fly somebody in from France?
I won't fly someone into France. No, I'll find a matchmaker in France.
No, I mean, we've had other professionals on who go to great lengths, I mean, exorbitant lengths, to bring people in from other countries and charge exorbitant rates as well. And yet we know others who work in small towns and keep their circumference of resources really small. So it's really different. That's why we're asking that, because we've seen such a variety.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think especially with COVID too, just I meet through Zoom with everyone just to be on the safe side. So
smart. Well, Lise, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we've had people on who their offerings, matchmakers offerings were $79.99 to $25,000 to $1 million to
Yes.
so it's So that's I think we're kind of interested, sir, for people watching and listening.
Yeah.
You know, how they can work with you and what your target audience is.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say in general, it's divorcees that are between 35 to 55. And the different types of matchmaking I do, I have a free matchmaking database, and that gives you the option of being potentially matched to a client at no cost. I have a DIY version of my matchmaking, which is more of a modern take. And basically, I revamp someone's dating profile, or I run their dating profile for them, because I'm sure you ladies have heard that dating apps can feel like a second job. So I kind of take that off their hands and leave the fun parts of dating there. And then the last form is more of the white glove, traditional form of matchmaking. And so that's where I'm kind of working as a headhunter to find quality over quantity. Also listening to my clients' preferences, but saying, well, why don't you go out with this person? You might find something different.
That's neat. I love the do-it-yourself model. That sounds really cool. We haven't heard that before.
Really?
Yeah. How do you do a do-it-yourself one?
Yeah. So basically, I run dating profiles for men and women across the U.S. And so I use their dating apps for them and introduce them a couple matches per week.
So wait, so I have a question. This sounds really cool. So in other words, if I was on Match.com, which I'm not, I could give you my login and password and you could do the work for me?
100%. Yeah.
I love that. Awesome.
And I know, I love Lisa's face right now. She's like, oh my God, Jade.
So it is beautiful.
Earlier today, we had someone on who's a productivity expert. This is phenomenal. You take all that work off our hands.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm really good at it. And that's the thing about what was funny is when I was on dating apps, I was like, oh, this feels like a second job. And now it's just ironic that I do it for a living.
So everybody out there who's listening and watching, Jade Bianca can, what'd you say? She can run your dating sites for you, and she can find you matches. So this is completely out of your hands. You don't have to worry about it. I just do a weekly meeting with my clients. There's a wait list right now because me and my team can only run so many dating profiles at a time. But so we basically have a weekly meeting with our client, and we show them their selected matches for the week. And then they take it from there. And so the conversations that I'm having, I'm sending like 5 or so messages, and I'm kind of just breaking the ice and making it so that we're like exchanging phone numbers, and then my client takes it from there.
Well, how do you know, even with an introductory icebreaker, that you're speaking in the way that another person was? Because I know others who have done this, and they would use words that I wouldn't use. So and then what happens when the client takes it over and then they don't sound like you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I have multiple meetings with my clients to kind of dissect what they're looking for, who they are, all of that jazz. I also have multiple different forms that I have them fill out. So everything from like where their favorite vacation was to what they like to do on the holiday, what's an embarrassing childhood story, you name it. That being said, I'm a big proponent of privacy. And so I never give out extra information that doesn't need to be said, but I screenshot all of the conversations to my client.
I love this. I love this. When I get back into the dating world, I am definitely hiring you. This is phenomenal.
You know where to find me.
Yeah, it's like a whole sense of relief just comes. Like you don't have to manage all that. I love it. We have to take a break. So stay with us here on Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn. It's all about dating with co-host Lisa Manyoky and our special guest, Jade Bianca. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Zane Carson Carruth, and I'm the author of this book, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever.
Reading is magic. Studies have shown that reading to your children lays the foundation for greater success in life. Reading helps develop language and vocabulary skills. It helps improve memory, and it encourages curiosity and inspires creativity. The benefits are immeasurable, and as a parent, you'll benefit too. In only 10 or 15 minutes a day, you'll be creating more memories and a bonding experience that will last for years to come. So take time to read to your children. Read them books about things that engage and interest them. Tales of fairies and magic fascinate children, and as everyone knows, the Tooth Fairy is at the top of the list. If your child loves magic, wands, adventure, and what child doesn't, you'll love reading them books from the trademarked series, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever. Follow along as Abella, the world's first tooth fairy, accidentally starts the tooth fairy tradition. Learn the tricks of being a professional tooth fairy in the book, Abella Starts a Tooth Fairy School. Your child's imagination will soar as you read the adventures of Abella and her magic wand. These wonderful books are available at worldsfirsttoothfairy.com. and at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Walmart.
Located at 121 Haddon Avenue in Westmont, New Jersey, is Margie Cedrone, artisan jeweler. Margie's been in business for more than 30 years. She works with her clients to create custom pieces of jewelry to reflect their personality and help them make their own bold statement. Starting in the renowned Jewelers Row in Center City, Philadelphia in 1988, Margie works directly with her clients to develop one-of-a-kind pieces such as necklaces, engagement rings, wedding bands, unique watches and tennis bracelets, as well as a myriad of rings and earrings for everyone in your family. She also has worked directly with Dr. Jacalyn over the years, creating unique pieces of jewelry to reflect her personality. She does pearl stringing and repairs on site at 121 Haddon Avenue. Call or text Margie at 215-384-7155. Margie Cedrone Jewelry is open by appointment only. Make your own bold statement.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Well, guess what? We're back. What do you think of that?
Well, hello.
Hello. We're here on Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn. It's all about dating, and we love to have some fun. With me is my co-host, Lisa Manyoky, and our guest, Jade Bianca. Hello, Jade. Thanks for staying around during the break. We've had a couple people disappeared. I'm kidding. I'm only kidding. Just kidding. So we were talking about dating after divorce. And when we left for the break, you were sharing about the do-it-yourself model and how you can actually take a lot of work off somebody's plate by managing their dating apps for them, which is really amazing. So if somebody wants, I know there's a wait list right now, but if somebody wants to have you do this for them, they would just go to your website and sign up. Is that right?
Yeah, just visit datingafterddivorce.com. There's a free matchmaking form. You fill that out, and then we'll have a consultation and take it from there.
Wonderful. Jade, what are you hearing, what have you heard from people are the most difficult things for them to do after divorce in order to get back out there? Is it, losing weight? Is it going to a therapist because they're so, they're out of sorts? Is what would it be?
That's a great question. So I'm not a therapist, but I work with a lot of different therapists across the country, especially ones that meet virtually as well. And so for things that I can address, whether that is something like weight loss or something like seeing a therapist, as well as divorce coaches, I work with different ones across different platforms to kind of provide those. I think that self-confidence is something that can't help but take a hit when you go through something like a divorce or a big breakup. And it is pretty intimidating to get back out into the dating field, whether it's been a year, 5, 10 plus years, since you have been single. So I think having someone in your corner with advice, maybe not friends and family because they have the best intentions, but they don't always give the best advice. Working with someone like a dating coach or a matchmaker can definitely help ease that transition.
For sure. And I think one thing, Lisa, I'd like you to weigh on this one too. One thing that's very different is when we're dating before we get married, we don't have children, assets, all the things that we might have after we get divorced. And there's a lot of emotions that go into that. So now it's like you're dating someone and their whole family.
Absolutely.
Lisa, what do you think?
Well, plus when, I talked recently with a few people who had lengthy marriages. They're both women. Actually, 3 of them were women. And it was amazing to me that they were still caught up in old dynamics they lost their identity to their spouses who were not always the nicest and maybe well-intended, but definitely not an asset to these women's personalities. And so the hooks can stay in deeply for a really long time. I mean, are you seeing some of that?
Absolutely. And I think it's interesting too, like gender dynamics when it does come into relationships, because I think that there are certain things that are difficult for women getting back out into the dating field. And especially, I don't know, we've seen this in friends and family. It seems like, generally speaking, that men might have an easier time dating, even though they are getting older and they might have baggage, but it feels at times that it's easier for men to get back out there as opposed to their exes.
So I wonder if that has anything to do with the fact, and I'm just saying this in general, so nobody, get upset, but in general, I've found that men don't want to be alone, whereas women are okay being by ourselves. But men, as soon as they get out of one relationship, sometimes they have to jump into another one.
I've heard that a lot. And it blows me away. I mean, I just, I hate being alone. And that could be too, in all fairness, especially if there were children involved. In the majority of cases, the dads are not always custodial. So they've had more time to themselves with maybe a weekend or every other weekend visit with their kids and maybe a dinner a week. So in all fairness, if they've had more time to be alone, then it gets old really quickly and they can accelerate that. I know in my case, I used to run into a lot where these guys are like, hey, listen, I've only got a few nights a month where I'm preoccupied. So I have this time and they didn't like it.
I've also, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but especially women that are becoming single again in their 40s, they're not as quick to jump into another relationship or marriage because they've kind of gained this newfound independence that let's be honest, we kind of fall into relationship gender roles, and that if you were to get remarried or come into another serious relationship, you might not have that level of independence that you just reclaimed. So I think that's always an interesting conversation about dating again after divorce.
Definitely. You were singing my song right there. So what do we think about the fact that whether it's coming out of a divorce or coming out of a long-term relationship, should people take time for themselves before they get involved in another relationship? Like, is there any, I don't care, a month, 2 months, 6 months, a year, is there any time that you take to reflect over where you've been, what was going on, maybe why it didn't work out, and what it is you're looking for today?
Yeah, I think that healing is such a unique personal thing, and obviously it doesn't have a linear trajectory. We all heal differently. It all takes different time. And so if I'm just generalizing audiences, I feel like it's people typically fall into one of two categories: post-divorce or post-big breakup. And that's people that are kind of finding solace by rebounding and maybe just becoming a serial dater and going out with quite a number of people, or just putting dating on the back burner, whether that be for months or years. And so it's interesting finding that sweet spot between the two.
Yes, definitely. You know what else would be really interesting to hear from our audience? So I'm watching on different devices and people are out there. So if you are coming out of a divorce, if you are divorced and you're looking for tips, we'd like to hear what your experience has been. That's right. You out there in listener world. So we'll give you a few minutes to think about that, but put comments in, call us. So Jade, you have 5 tips for people, right, when they're coming out of a divorce, and I'd love to have you share them with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first one is to get a new hobby or double down an old one. As we talked about before, you kind of can't help but lose yourself a little bit when you are in a long-term relationship. And so kind of rediscovering yourself and your likes and your dislikes, especially your passions, is a great way of feeling like you're finding yourself again. So getting a new hobby, it doesn't have to be a sexy hobby. It could be anything from learning a new language to like taking a woodworking class to, painting. But that kind of helps you get in this new mindset of becoming the next chapter, the next version of yourself. My second tip is to solo travel. This was before COVID, kind of limited our options, but when you are able to take just more time to yourself, whether it's just getting away for a weekend or spending the day out at the beach by yourself, I feel like you're able to kind of rediscover yourself in new ways, and taking that self-reflection time is really important and after a divorce or a big breakup. The third one is to spend more time with friends and family. And by that, I mean actually taking quality time. We're so addicted to our phones these days that we kind of forget that we need to be present more. So being present with friends and family is really important. As we talked about before, the fourth one is to go on the date with someone that's the complete opposite of your ex. And I find that because your taste may have changed, your right person might not be 6 foot tall with long, luscious hair. So we kind of owe it to ourselves to see what else is out there and break previous dating patterns. And the final tip I have is to create an accountability plan that helps you move past your divorce or your breakup. So as we talked about, it takes 2 to tango. There's always things that we can improve on, but addressing those previous issues kind of makes it that you don't take that baggage from your past relationship or past marriage into your future one.
All really good tips. And we have to take a break, so let's mull on that, and then we'll come back because I have a few comments on that. So thank you. Of course, you know I do, right?
Me too.
Okay, we'll be right back on Business Talk Radio and social media. Stay with us.
Networking sucks and people suck at it, but nothing gives me more life than walking around and talking to people in an audience and really being able to identify, okay, I see where you're having trouble, let's work on fixing it. How do you help them? How do you provide value? My goal is to give them those tools to be able to go out and tackle that fear. Anywhere there's coffee is where I'll be. So I bring candy a lot to my speaking engagements. Like, of course that makes sense. I'm a little unconventional.
Ashley was very knowledgeable.
Very entertaining.
I learned a few new things, and to me that's the key.
What do you want them to say? How do you want to be perceived? You're going to get the most direct, tactical tips and practical takeaways when it comes to networking. These two here are super important. You'll remember once the conversation starts.
I love the tips that she gave out. I hate networking with a passion, so I feel like I can go to a meeting or event and not feel so uncomfortable.
When you're going to a presentation, you want to be educated. You also want to be entertained.
She was really fun and really personable, and everything she was saying was just very relatable.
She's got a lot of great ideas.
That will make you stand out so fast.
She comes across as someone that likes what they do and just doesn't try to sell you something.
Activity breeds results. If you're not doing anything, you're not going anywhere.
It just made me want to start networking, which I never thought I'd say before.
A networking strategy that works for you.
Stations are tuned in too.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Welcome back to Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn. It's all about dating. Yay! We're here with Lisa Manyoky and Jade Bianca. And before the break, we were talking about your 5 tips for things to do after you are divorced. So I just want to share that when I got divorced, I went to Paris by myself for 10 days. And I had a great time. I spent way too much money. And then I came back and I bought 3 dogs. Yes.
I went bowling. I even got my own ball. I dragged my kids to the bowling alley. And let me tell you something. I was not a bowler, but I thought, what can we do that's really something I would never have done before? So we bowled. All the kids even got their own pink bowling balls in their favorite color, shoes, little sparkly shoes. But when I traveled, the first time I went to go travel alone, actually I went with a man. The night before I'm scheduled to leave for Cancun, my dad shows up and his teeth are all bloody. I said, what happened? Oh, he was on Coumadin for cancer. He said, yeah, the dentist said I should go to the doctor. So, in fact, he said I should go to the ER. I said, well, get your shoes on. We sent him to the ER. So I'm packing to go to Cancun for a week and a half. I've got kids. I've got who's going to the hockey, who's going here, there, and everywhere. And he's in the hospital. He ended up being there for most of my trip. And my poor mother-in-law was driving kids around to hockey games. And it was bedlam. So I swore I wouldn't go away again until they could all drive.
I'm sorry, Lisa.
I'm sorry too.
Calling every night. Did his teeth stop bleeding? No. Are you okay? But we decided collectively as a family that I'd earned this respite. So when I could go to a dinner and not have to cut anybody's food or load the dishwasher or do anything except whatever I wanted, it was glorious. So I highly endorse that. So long as you have an army behind to take care of the household while you're gone.
Absolutely. Well, mine was not the marriage that was ended, but I ended an engagement, and I just went to Thailand. So
wow.
I went to Thailand for 10 days, and it was just my inspiration.
I heard it's amazing.
Wow. Oh God, it was beautiful. It's just expensive to get there, but once you get there, everything's very affordable. The people are amazing. The hour-long massages are like $5.
Wow.
Really?
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That's incredible. But so to your 5 points, we both took 2 of them. We both did, right?
Oh yeah, and I dated a Harley dude. But I wore pearls with my leather, you know? I mean, Harley in that world was probably the antithesis of the one I'd known. We were together for 3.5 years, and I got to tell you, I had a lot of fun. So I wouldn't have entertained that prior, but it was a great adventure. I highly endorse. Go the other way, you know, as somebody who's totally different. And you may find that there are parts of you that were just either suppressed because your partner wasn't amenable to it, or it's just something you didn't even know about yourself, right?
Yes. You know what's incredible about going on vacation by yourself, and believe me, I have girlfriends who refuse to go on vacation by themselves. I actually love it. You don't have to ask anybody about doing anything. You just do whatever it is you want to do. What could be wrong with that?
Nothing.
Nothing.
It's liberating.
So liberating.
Yeah.
I mean, think about vacations you've been on, and you have to, even with girlfriends, you have to make sure that everybody's happy and everyone's doing the same thing. And it's just like, no, just do whatever you want. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What I think is interesting about especially divorces and dating again is you're finding yourself and you have to become comfortable in the uncomfortable, right? Because you haven't been in this situation for quite a number of years, maybe. And so just looking at it as more of like a challenge or a new opportunity, and just taking that small step forward is just all you really need to get out of your comfort zone.
I agree with you. And think about it this way, for anybody who's out there contemplating going on vacation, they really don't want to go alone. If you're by yourself, you don't have to worry about your girlfriend and making sure that she's kept, because people get annoyed. Well, I'm going on vacation with you. What do you mean? You're going to go hang out with this guy at the bar? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Right? You know what I mean? You don't have to check with anybody and make sure that everybody's happy. I don't know. I think it's a really good way to travel.
And to learn stuff about yourself, too.
Yes,
There's self-discovery. You have time alone. When the noise around you is really noisy and the pace is active, it's good to just stall it for a little while.
Absolutely.
I even like it now sometimes. Silence is beautiful.
Oh, it is. I agree with you. So let's talk about the other 3 out of the 5 that you mentioned, and how can people really start to hone in on who they are?
Yeah. So we spoke about spending more time with friends and family. Being present is really important. This day and age, we're so connected to our phones and our devices. When in actuality, at the end of the day, what matters is your relationships and those close to you. And especially, as I think we spoke about earlier, Lisa, you said that it's easy to let your friendships kind of fall to the wayside when you are in a long-term committed relationship. And so remembering that those are people that you can lean on is really important.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Lisa, what were you going to say?
The true friends snap back into place pretty quickly. I mean, I found that there was this one gentleman who I know, nobody liked his wife for the duration of their marriage. And the minute that they split up, he had business cards that were sending him to dating sites. And here's a card for a counselor. I mean, they really wanted him to heal because they didn't want him to go back. So, I mean, your friends and family, of course, sometimes they're compliant, because the truth is, if you're with a person they don't like, sometimes you're not going to hear their input anyway, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're not ready to hear it. You wouldn't listen to it. And then it could become a wedge between you and those family or friends anyway. So at some point, people can jump in and really lend some support to keep you on track toward better horizons and better opportunities, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's definitely for sure.
Yeah.
I'm still hung up. I want to say hung up, but I'm still thinking about the do-it-yourself. The do-it-yourself dating profiles. I just love that. Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I think that's one of those things that people are surprised about, because they're like, what do you mean you can, I guess, pretend to be me? And I was like, it's not so much pretending to be you, because you're not really getting to know the core person when you first message on different platforms. I think that was me, Dr. Jacalyn.
Oh, okay, good. Okay,
that was
perfect.
my mistake. I thought that was the link for our live session.
Oh, okay, fine.
My apologies. But going back to it, you're kind of just getting to know that person in the beginning. And so I'm just getting that conversation taken from the platform to either in person or on the phone, depending on what they're comfortable with COVID.
And you have that level of objectivity that an individual wouldn't. So you're not invested in the process or in this person's history. So you can see things that they can't, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, as we mentioned, previous dating patterns, what's interesting is doing research and working in this industry and writing different blogs about it is when Match.com was first established, maybe right before it, Kiss.com in 1994. And they found that when people were putting exactly what they wanted and what they found themselves to be compatible with, when those people met in person, they didn't actually hit it off, which is odd because you would think if you're very compatible with someone, you would click. So it's kind of a combination. I don't know if you've experienced this, Lisa, as a matchmaker, but it's compatibility. It's also like attraction. It's chemistry. It's the way that you interact with each other. So you're kind of taking your clients' wants and needs, and then also giving them other options.
Yeah. Oh, and I am so not a matchmaker. I want nothing.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood.
No, if I were, I dump all my clients your way because it is a tough job. I don't want to do it. No, I'm just a people person. I mean, I have had a lot of experience in dating. I don't know if that's an asset or a liability, but no, I had a radio show for a couple of years with a colleague because I was trained in relationship coaching for singles. It turned out for me to be more fun and personally interesting than it was professionally. So I just did it for kicks. But professionally, oh my gosh, you folks work hard.
It's definitely it's people pleasing, but with a loving. It's tough love. It's definitely tough love.
And chemistry is right. You can have somebody who checks off all the lists. This person looks great on paper, and they sit across from the table from each other and say, "Nope, not."
Yeah. Absolutely. And so in 2021, even with the layer of complexity that COVID's given dating, there's more chances now to meet someone than there ever were online. And so it's easy to kind of wonder what else is up there. So like this person's nice, but maybe there's another like better option, which is another issue of new age dating. But when you actually go out with someone and you give it more than one chance, you actually kind of build this rapport or relationship with someone. So instead of becoming just a serial first dater, give it another shot. That's what I say, to give people another shot, whether it's a second date, third date. But yeah, you can actually really like somebody.
How many shots you have to give them?
Lisa's cringing.
I know.
So Jade, you know, I'm not dating now, but I have said on other shows that it's like one and done. And then matchmakers are like, no, you have to give it 3 times.
So three, I feel like, especially Lisa's face, is asking for a lot. But I've had plenty of people that there was just something kind of off for the first date. I'm obviously not saying don't trust your gut, especially like as women speaking. We have this intuition, I feel like, for certain men that if we get a weird vibe, definitely listen to that. But what I'm saying is if he's a little nervous or if he doesn't say quite the right thing, giving that second opportunity kind of allows people to get rid of the first date jitters and actually like have an established connection.
Okay, first date fumble, I call that, where you're a little bit nervous. Nerves is one thing, but if you're sitting across from the table from somebody who you absolutely know it will not fly, then it is okay to stop there, right?
Absolutely. And that's why it's not a one size fits all thing, right?
One thing we haven't discussed on this show or any others really are what about if you're divorced multiple times? Is there, does that have any bearing on what you do next?
I mean, that's a great question. I think it kind of depends. I think I'm in no place to judge someone whether they've had 1, 2, 3, 7 divorces. But I think something that needs to be addressed if you have had multiple divorces is kind of taking accountability, the way that we spoke about what were you responsible? What were areas that you could improve on so that you don't have that again? And maybe just be single for a while or just date people.
Right. I think that's a really good point, that you don't have to get married, right? You can date someone. And I just was talking to somebody today, actually, and they said that getting married is not for them. They just want to play the field, so to speak. So
yeah, well,
I think
recreational, that's it. That's like recreational dating.
Right. So it depends what everybody wants, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I always found that interesting is speaking to people about their friends that are, do you guys have friends that are serial daters?
Yes.
Okay,
definitely.
Like 4 dates a week or something?
In a day.
Mm-hmm.
In a day?
In a day? Wow.
No, I have a friend who, she was doing like 3 dates in a day. And I just said to her, I don't know how you're able to run your business, or it got to be exhausting.
That is a
business.
But here's a great
definitely a second job.
Jade can go ahead and kind of cut through, the people on these different dating sites and come up with, hey, this is the 1 or 2 I think you should go out with. I love that.
What's interesting, Jacalyn, is that before running these dating apps for people, I knew about scammers and fake profiles, but man, there are quite a few out there. And so I am like vetting them and making sure they are who they say they are. And I check on different platforms to see if this is a fake profile or not.
No, that's important.
I remember the words, if you don't mind, when they end a sentence, if you don't mind, and I will like to know more about you, because clearly they ran it through some translator that didn't catch the correct grammar, or awful names. A lot of times the scammers just have digits at the end of their name, a lot of digits, so it's more like an automated signature.
Mm-hmm.
But like Stan 7, Dave 9,
or 907, like a lot of more digits, like maybe it's more like it's not obviously 565, where it might be the year of their birth if it aligns. But a lot of them just have funky numbers. Or look, if you're in New Jersey and you're somebody, I'm here in Germany right now, but I'll be moving to New Jersey next week. Okay, sure.
I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard that too. Yeah,
I've had clients tell me as well, people reaching out on like social media platforms like Instagram, and they'll have no photos. They'll have like 2 friends and be following like all of these women. And I don't know, that's kind of a red flag in my opinion, that that's not a real account or something that you need to be talking to people on.
I agree. Guess what? We have to take another break. Our last break. I can't believe how quickly the time's going by, but stay with us. It's our last break, and then we'll be back with Lisa and Jade.
Have you ever tried to build people into a team? Maybe you've tried bowling, or ziplining, or paintball, or pizza making. These events can be fun, and they can make everybody happy for a while. But in the long run, do they really turn people into a team? Now, imagine the members of your team scattered all over the world, working from trains and airplanes, from remote offices, client locations, or working from home. How do you build a winning team when your playing field might be the entire world? With BCAT, we've created the answer. Working completely online, no matter where your people are, we turn them into an engaged and motivated team in 3 simple steps. First, we use the BCAT survey, which they can take online, anywhere, anytime, to reveal the North Star that represents their shared pride in the work they do. Next, we work with your team's leaders and stakeholders to convert that North Star into a role target, an ideal virtual person who represents your team's best self, living its best day at work. With our internet tools, we hang your North Star high in the sky, where everyone on your team can see it, no matter where in the world they might be. Then we guide and help everyone on your team in creating personal plans to align themselves with your team's North Star. We help each of them develop the positive habits that, day by day, every day, steer them closer to your North Star, aligning themselves with your team's signature dreams and ideals. And over the long haul, We offer programs and coaching techniques that help them stick to their plans. Remote team building isn't hard. It doesn't take long. And it's just as much fun as pizzas and paintball. You build winning teams around a purpose, not a place. BCAT is the answer.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Well, we're rapping about dating today. Here we are on Business Talk Radio and social media. I'm with Lisa Manyoky and Jade Bianca. Welcome back.
Hello, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hi. So what do we want to leave our audience with today in terms of dating after divorce? Jade, I'll go to you first.
Well, I'd like to let them know that we're dropping a reflection journal specifically for divorcees. It's called Dating After Divorce Doesn't Have to Suck, where we talk about who you are, what you want, what your boundaries are. And then the conclusion of the reflection journal is where you write a letter to your ex that you do not send, but it's more to kind of address things that you might not be able to say to them in person, but kind of closing that chapter in your life and moving on. So, yes.
That's a great idea. Writing it down, getting it out of your system, but not sending it, right? We don't want to send it.
No sending. Proceed with caution. Do not send.
And you know what's nice too is you can look back at that as you evolve into a new space and then realize how far you've come.
Love that.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. It's an important part of growth. Mm-hmm.
So Jay, tell us again, how can we find this when it comes out in a day or two?
Yeah, please visit our website, datingafterdivorce.com, and just sign up for our newsletter, and we'll send you the reflection journal for dating after divorce.
That's great.
Yeah, that is great. Lisa, what thoughts do you have about dating after divorce?
Oh, just do it. I mean, it's surmountable. My divorce was really painful. And even though it was a really long time ago, I still remember how it felt. And I remember who listened to me ad nauseum, day in and day out. So, you know, one of your 5 steps is accountability. And my plan was to dump all the ick so that I could feel better sooner and faster. And those accountability partners, they were compassionate friends who are friends to this day. So I say this even professionally, there's no medal of honor for going it alone. So pull in your resources, you know, feel better, stay better, and get all the help you need to do so, because dating is really fun. And then when you meet these people who really are more suited to you now, then life's even more fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's be honest. If you can get yourself into the best shape you've ever been in, right? You're rocking your heels and you're just out there and the other person's like, wow, you know, you just feel really good about yourself and attract people to you because you have that confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if I can say one more thing, I think it's really important, especially for dating after divorce, is to remember that the person that you're going out with might not be your future spouse. They might not be your end all be all. But if you look at going out with this person as an opportunity to learn something from them, and as just a fun person that you might not otherwise meet, it kind of takes off that pressure that first date jitteriness, and you look at it more as just meeting someone cool and new and different in your new life.
That's a really, really good point. And you can set that parameter right out of the gate and say, hey, listen, I say, listen, friends first. I go really slow. I'm a slow mover when it comes to dating, which is the truth. So it takes the heat off the guy. Don't worry about it. That's a nice point, because in coach speak, we say, don't be attached to outcome. So when you've decided this is how it's going to be, first of all, you can get let down by your own expectations and put undue pressure on another party. And then what should be leisurely and enriching and fun becomes too much like work.
Yeah, or an interview, right?
Yes. And I think one thing that we forget, at least I had when I was dating, is that the other person's nervous too.
Sure.
Right? It's not just you that's nervous. And so here's a question I have. We have a few minutes left. How far into the dating process, or how soon into the dating process, do you take out your bag of ugliness and dump it on the table? You know what I mean? Like,
dun, 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 dun.
Right. Here it is.
Definitely not day one. I think we all know that there's nothing worse than like bad mouthing an ex or talking about a lot of excess baggage when you're just starting to get to know someone. I think that there's a difference between being transparent and then word vomiting. I don't know about you, but I know plenty of people that when they get nervous, they tend to over talk. So I think a way of avoiding that is to really be inquisitive and ask that person that you're out with some questions. But if you are looking at it as more of an opportunity to get to know someone new, you'll hopefully less likely be like, oh, so why did your last marriage end? What did you do?
Right. Yeah. And Lisa, I know you've always had a good point that before you start dating someone, clean up. What is your phrase? Clean up
old business before starting new. So wrap up legal issues, financial challenges, and any other fallout that could interfere with a new future.
But when you think about it, people have health issues, right? People have maybe someone in their family, there's some kind of issue. So when do you bring those things to the table? And hello, Goat Killer. Hello to you. Thanks for watching.
Oh my.
Goat Killer. I mean, I think that is, of course, specific for the couple, right? But I think that whether it's like you've gone out a handful of times, if you are having those conversations that are a little bit more in depth, as opposed to just like, what did you want to be when you were a child? There's a certain time and place for everything. I think that there are ways of, as we said, being transparent, but not over informing someone. They don't need to know all of the dirty details of your divorce, but you can say, it was a bit messier. I respect them, but I hope that moving forward we can be civil. Things like of that nature.
Yeah, well, when you can boil your history down into one brief sentence, then you're in good shape.
Touche. That's true.
Yep. It does get easier as time goes on, right?
Oh,
Lisa?
yes, and the words get fewer.
Yes, exactly.
It's just a head nod. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes,
or
I
that
was
facial
married.
expression that we saw before. So as we come to the end of the program, Jade, it's been a pleasure having you here. Please share with our audience the services that you provide, and because there's multiple services, and I think people should reach out to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So please visit us at datingafterdivorce.com. We do everything from coaching to different forms of matchmaking, DIY matchmaking, where we run your dating profile for you. You don't have to stress. You just get the fun of it. And then also more of the traditional white glove matchmaking, where it's quality over quantity, and we look out for your best interests. So let's make dating fun again.
And you work with people anywhere in the United States, correct?
Correct. Anywhere within the United States, men and women.
Excellent. Well, it's certainly been lovely having you here. I hope you'll come back and see us again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll see you backstage in just a minute. Lisa, another terrific guest. And I just love this show. It's just so enjoyable, isn't it?
Yeah, and the stuff that's relevant to dating, it's not just dating. I mean, it's new jobs. the same lessons apply to a number of different adventures. When one, chapter closes and another starts, the same things are necessary. So it can spill over,
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to spotlight you. Tell us about presence intelligence and how we can work with you.
Sure. Well, presence intelligence is my initiative to make sure that who you are on the inside, as in the best parts, align with what you project on the outside. Because when there's a discrepancy between the two, you'll feel it and so will others. When it comes to dating, it's really important that who shows up on day 1 is the same person on day 10 and maybe year 1 if things go well. So it's an integrity initiative. And I work with individuals and organizations to make sure that they're putting their best foot forward, but from the inside out.
I love it. Thanks, Lisa. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for being here with us today. I'll see you in just a minute backstage.
All righty.
All right.
Bye,
take
everyone.
care. Bye. Thank you, everyone, for watching. This has been a really fun show, and we'd love to hear from you. We've got some shows coming up tomorrow with a new co-host also. I forgot to tell Lisa this. So we have a new co-host who was on our show last week, Lori Mendelson. She's going to be co-host of the Variety Show. So that's going to be exciting. So tomorrow we actually have a show starting at 1 o'clock. I have a story to tell. Then at 3:15 we have Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn presents Pet Psychic Amina. And then we have our 5 o'clock show, Stories of Hope, Inspiration, Overcoming Adversity, and then the 6 o'clock variety show. If you can join us on Sunday on Clubhouse, we have a room, Lessons from the Best, Coaches, Consultants, and Trusted Advisors, 6 p.m. on Clubhouse. And then 7 p.m. on Clubhouse, Megan Sandwick and I are hosting Intentional Planning. It's a guided meditation for 30 minutes. So lots of things moving and shaking, and we're glad to have you with us. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and we will see you again tomorrow. Bye.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.